You know, we have a lot of very special guests today, but today this guy is near and dear to my heart. I mean, and this is the first episode with the manager. We got Dave Roberts. I want to give you I don't even know all the accolades, but one big change for you is you are a three-time. You were a two-time because one playing and one managing, but now you have two managing. Three-time World Series champion. How does that feel, Doc?
Mook, it's unbelievable. First off, to be on base, it feels good to be back on base, right? This has been a player forum for you, and yeah, to be able to win it as a player, and then to win two as a manager, I think I'm in an elite class right now. So
Okay, so which one's harder? Which one's harder?
I think as a manager's harder.
Why?
I think you can kind of, for you, the pressure of being a real dude, a superstar player, and what that entails. I didn't have that. I was a role player as a player, so to come in and help support a ball club, win a championship is something special. But for you, Mook, a lot of the focus as a player is very finite. It's you're focused on yourself and your performance, which you need to be.
Mm-hmm.
As a manager, there's just a lot more things that are under your watch. And so that's why I think for me it's harder, but it's a lot more gratifying to see, you thrive, Freddie thrive, and see the coaches, the front office, and the fans, and you just kind of more in tune with a lot more as a manager.
That makes sense. That's why managing is hard. So, but we'll get to that here soon. First, I want to play a game called On Base, Off Base, whether you're in or out. All right.
All right.
First thing is you could go on tour with Ice Cube as a backup dancer. Did you see your moves? Have you seen the video of you dancing?
I think I blacked out. And when he said that was my ass dropping right there.
Oh, that was ass dropping.
So that was my ass dropping right there.
Get that Loto, Doc.
So I know, because I got a bad knee. So I still know my limits. But man, I would love to go on tour with Ice Cube. I'm telling you, Mookie, this was it took me back to 1988 when I had a Nissan Sentra, a red Sentra, and I had my 210s in a wood box. Because that's what you did back in the day. You used to get a box made. You used to put your woofers in the trunk, and your license plate would be beaten up and racking and making all that noise. But man, I would listen to NWA and Ice Cube all day long, and so that kind of took me back.
Man, I could tell. You look good. I'm on base with that too. I think you could go on and be a backup dancer. Okay, so what about this? The best perk of winning the World Series is you win free books at the public library.
Yeah,
I'm off base on that too.
I'm off base.
I seen it was going around on Instagram. We'll revisit later.
Yeah,
but it was since we won the World Series, we get free admission to the strip clubs in LA. I said, you know what? We'll talk later. We'll
got to put a pin in that one.
Yeah, we got to see about that later on. But I'm off base on the free books. Thank you, library, for the free books, though.
Love the free books. Yeah. All about reading, but I'm off base.
Yeah, I'm off base on that. Okay, so what about this one? Last one. A decoy should be the official mascot of the Dodgers.
On base.
I'm on base on that too.
On base.
That I've never seen a dog act the way that dog. It's the perfect dog of all time.
No, and the thing is that I'll tell you, that's where Shohei, as we see this picture of Decoy and Shohei, that Shohei is just as comfortable in his own skin when he's with that dog.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? My daughter told me the other day, she was like, you know what I think is that when Shohei has Decoy, it takes the attention off him.
Oh, it puts
and so it allows him to sort of let people just focus on Decoy. So to your point, I'm on base with Decoy being our mascot.
Yeah, I'm with it. I think we just get a costume of him made, and someone should play Decoy you know, all the time.
All the
travel
time.
with us and
Yeah.
you know, like the fanatic. You know,
Like the fanatic.
We need decoy though.
For decoy to learn how to deliver a first pitch in like 2 weeks, that's unprecedented. So if he can do that, decoy can lead us to another championship.
I agree with that. Okay, all right. So enough of that game. What about this? I want to take me through those 10, 15, 20 seconds of Walker striking out the last guy immediately after. Did the weight just fall off your shoulders? What was it?
You know what? It was when we won it in 20, it was like relief, and I couldn't even enjoy it. But this one, when Walker punched out Verdugo, it was pure joy, elation, and I'm still enjoying it, Mook.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, and it's like we've had all these haters and tell us this or that and the other, and all this noise that I always try to, you know, get you guys to block out. And so once he made that last pitch, I just looked to the skies and looked to my father, who's resting peacefully up there in heaven, and I couldn't be happier.
I wanna talk about that playoff series there, or not even that series, but the whole playoffs really. We go in and going in late into the season, we're still playing, so that was a good change for us, because the last couple years we got put out early, but we had won the division kind of early a little bit when we shut it down. And so this time we're going in, still playing, really get, I ain't gonna say one series off, but it was just the last series. And we're going in, you got San Diego, and they really kicked their ass all year.
All year.
So how were you feeling about it? From your perspective?
I felt from my perspective that was the World Series. I felt that at that moment in time, when we started the postseason, they were 1 through 26, the best team.
100%.
And when you play a team as much as we played those guys, the novelty, the awe factor, that was all gone. They were no longer afraid of us. Mm-hmm. We're familiar. They beat us up in the regular season, so they were hungry. They hadn't won a championship, so I felt that was going to be our biggest challenge, especially in a short series. And so when we got down 2-1,
and we had already gotten put out the last 2 years, so that was already weighing.
That's right. That was already a burden that we had to deal with. And so for me, that was the World Series. And so out of a lot of my angst and nerves were into that series.
And then down 2-1, like you said, I mean, in my head, I want to hear from your perspective, but from my perspective, it seemed like a regular day in July. Like there was no panic. You were still being yourself. The guys were still laughing, hanging out, but everybody was in intense, like, you know, making sure they take care of their business. But I didn't feel any panic going on around the clubhouse, and I feel like that played a part. But I did feel intensity. But I want to hear from your perspective what you felt.
I think that I agree. I did feel the focus. There wasn't panic, certainly. I think that when we went in there 2 years ago, I think that there was a little bit of, we were overwhelmed by the environment. Mm-hmm. I think that it was mayhem. It was crazy down there. It was loud. And they fed off of that, as most teams feed off the home crowd. I just talked about it. We were ready to brawl. And we were going to find a way to win that game. And we did. And I just think that they're kind of...
And that was a bullpen game.
It was a bullpen game. It was a bullpen game. And I just think that the way they go about things is a street fight, and they try to intimidate, and we were up for the challenge. Mm-hmm. And we took their best shot and counterpunched. And we got big hits, big performances. And I just think from that point on, Mook, the confidence in you, your teammates, the organization, the fans just continued to grow. And then once we got to Game 5 and we took that lead, I just felt that those guys had no answer for us.
That was and then our guys were, it's like everybody was just locked in, man. Everybody was just locked in.
And it's like, it's crazy though, is that like when you see talent and then you see the group locked in together and you know that they're not scared and they're going to fight back. It's like, I remember when seeing Mike Tyson, dude, when Buster Douglas knocked Mike Tyson on his butt, Mike Tyson was like, I've never experienced anything like this. And he didn't know what to do. But then when you get a champion and you can knock them down and they get back up and fight back, then you're like, uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I felt they were at.
And yeah, I agree. That was, and then so we go in and we play the Mets, which I felt like was a much less emotional series for us. Like coming down, just playing the Padres, it felt more like regular baseball is wrong, but the Padres series felt like an emotional battle. Maybe like winter ball. I've never played winter ball, but the emotions back and forth, the pimping of homers, the pimping of strikeouts, the knowledge of each other felt like winter ball a little bit. And then going into the Mets, it felt like, okay, we got to relearn who we're playing against. It's a different style of ball. I don't know. I wonder if
I love that. I love that. And not even to mention all the stuff that went on with the fans.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know, Profar in the stands, and then the stuff with Machado, it was like a winter ball kind of,
exactly.
You know, gloves are off. We're doing whatever it takes to get a competitive advantage. The psyche part of it all played a part in that. And yeah, we're going into a different series and trying to figure out what's the best way to prepare for the Mets. But this is a team that was the best team in the second half in all of baseball. Mm-hmm. You know, they were living with this this whole gremlin thing or whatever the heck they had going on, that they were trying to vibe off that. But I think for us, it was a different type series, but certainly not even close as emotional.
No, it wasn't. But it was fun. And then going in, you know, we played well there. And then going into the Yankee series, we go up 3-0, which was crazy in itself. And then we lose game 4. And then we're down 5-0 game 5, right? I mean, everything before then is kind of, you know, whatever. But now we're down 0 game 5, and you have a unique perspective because you've been on the other side, down 0-3, and you won a game. And now, being on the Dodger, you're down 5-0, and you've been on the other side like smelling blood, like we gotta go. So I want to hear both sides, because being down 5-0 there, I'm like, okay, I don't want to go back to LA. If we have to, cool, but like we got to figure out something. And you managed that game differently, and so
I did, Mook, and because I have been on the other side of it, and when you're down 3-0. You're at the point where you have nothing to lose now. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter who was favored, who wasn't. When you're down 3-0, everyone is expecting you to lose anyway. So now, that for me, it's freeing. And so they played free, won game 4. And I will tell you this now publicly, I was so afraid to come back to Los Angeles for game 6, knowing we still had Yamamoto in our back pocket. But the point being is that if we were to come back, the noise, the pressure becomes real. Mm-hmm. Because then you're going to start potentially being part of history in the wrong way. Mm-hmm. A team that gave up a 3-0, because it's never been done in the World Series. We did it in the ALCS, the Yankees versus the Red Sox. Mm-hmm. And so for me, that was the fear of going back. So to your point, yes, I managed with urgency. Even when we were down 5-0, I didn't know how we were going to finish this dang game.
And going in through that game, you get to the 5th inning, and, you know, I've talked about it, but from a managing perspective, I want to hear your perspective on how that 5th inning played out.
I just felt that we're down 5-0, and as that 5th inning started, truth be told, I'm really trying to think about how to really best equip ourselves for game 6, because they were going to have to exhaust everything.
And Cole was shoving.
I mean, at that point in time, he had a no-hitter.
Yeah.
And so he was shoving. And so for me, Kike leads off with a base hit. Tommy hits a unassuming fly ball. and it ggets dropped, and then there's a ball that's not made off Will Smith's bat in the hole, and it's like, uh-oh. And here you come up and you leg out. And the thing is that's what people don't get, is that Kike makes a turn around, bends it to make it a little bit more difficult play for Volpe. And if you go back and you watch that play, that's a very heady baseball play. And another one for you is you cue the ball off the end of the bat, but instead of putting your head down and being upset with yourself, you run a hard 90, and the game honored you. And that's what I talk a lot about. So those are things that, yeah, they caused some trouble for themselves, but we took advantage of for the way we play baseball, right? And so as you guys started clawing your way back, my thought now shifted to, they fought their way back. I've got to now be all in on how I manage the rest of this game.
And yeah, because it went from, oh, you know, I got to prepare how we're going to look for game 6 to we can win this one. And so that a lot of your decisions change at that point. Then Freddie gets a hit and it's 1st and 3rd and Teo's up. Tell me your perspective on Teo, because, you know, I played with Teo since I was in Boston, he was in Toronto.
Wow.
And which is a long time, and you know, we've been together for a while, and seeing the progression of Teo, seeing what he was to like a fast, you know, didn't hit for power much, really had a lot of swing and miss in his game, but he's a good player, to now this is Teoscar.
Ooh.
I want to hear like your perspective on what he meant for us.
I think it starts from the beginning, in the sense of my beginning with Teo, as far as betting on himself. I said it in spring training. This is a man that left a lot of money on the table to be at a place where he wanted to be, Los Angeles, to be around players like yourself so he can learn and get better. And there's nothing more powerful than betting on yourself and making sacrifices, whatever it might be. Money, time, family. And that's what Teo did. And so right there, he earned my respect from the get-go. And then from that point on, I've just really never been around a guy who is that mentally consistent on the daily. Every single day, good, bad, indifferent, he comes in as the same guy. And I just knew that a guy like that you can count on in the biggest of spots, and that's what he
probably was just chilling.
He was.
He probably was just in the box, just like, I don't even care.
No, you're
even
right.
Though he cares, he's a dog, right? But like,
that's like something that anyone can tell themselves that that's how they want to be. But there's something innate with Teo, in that heartbeat just doesn't rise too much where he starts to panic and get nervous.
And man, he came up and he hit it.
1-2 slider, good pitch, 2 outs, 2 strikes. And I mean, Freddie's hit was huge, but that put us ahead.
And when the game is tied there, tied the game. And now it's the 5th inning. Is that, like, from a manager perspective, because I want to know, is that like, okay, I have to completely, I need a second to completely flip my brain into thinking about how I'm going to get us through this?
Absolutely. Because you can even look back, and as people will go back, you know, I brought in Bonda earlier, and he couldn't go as long as I had hoped. So then I couldn't extend him. And I brought in Kopi. He couldn't go longer. So, and then also the other one was, we had Bazooka, Gratterall, and that was a 1st and 2nd base, 2 outs. I felt that at that point in time, that was the game. So I brought in Trinan right there to get Volpe. And so I just felt that Bazooka did everything he could possibly do for us. I had to stop the momentum, because the postseason is of a lot of postseasons, and the postseason is about momentum. And if you look at all these games, from the DS to the CS to the World Series, I tried to do everything in my power to stop the momentum and then not let the other team gain momentum. And so right there, bringing in Blake. But then at that point in time, honestly, Mookie, I didn't know how I was going to finish that game. and still knowing I had Walker potentially in my back pocket, but that's only for one inning in a plus game.
So Trinan really Trinan was kind of it.
He was it.
And that's how. And so when you went out and talked to him, and did you think about taking him out? Were you thinking about taking him out?
No.
So you went out.
I didn't have a choice. He was going to stay in that game. So at that point in time, there was nothing. I didn't do anything good right there. What I did do is I tried to slow the moment down, and I tried to give him a breath, and I wanted to put hands on him. As you know, I like to put hands on people. So I'm out there. I put both my hands on his chest, and I wanted to look him in the eye. And I wanted to look him in the eye like I did right there and said, "Hey, man, what do you got? You got any more in there?" And he said, "This is my guy. I want Stanton." And so the interesting thing is I was expecting Daniel Hudson to be ready at that for the next hitter, Rizzo, because he had already thrown close to 40 pitches. And I'm also trying to be mindful of a player's health. And then so after he gets Stanton to pop up, Mook, I'm waiting for him to look at me because there's only one pitch. But I did tell him one hitter. And so he didn't look at me. Because if he looked at me, I was going to go get him. He did not look at me. I'm on the top step, and then Freddie is at first base, subtly, respectfully, moving his glove like, let him get him, let him get him.
Oh, wow. So Freddie played a part in this.
So Freddie played a part in this. And then, so you know what? I looked at Freddie. Blake didn't look at me, and I go, the right decision is to stand down and let him get him.
So would you have before, in years prior, would you have went and got him no matter what?
In years prior, I would have got him no matter what.
And why? Is that because of is that just like
it's more of a feel thing.
Okay.
It's more of a feel thing. And I just felt that he was, for me, and no disrespect to anybody else, I just felt in that moment we were going to live or die with Blake Trinan on the mound. And I had to trust him.
And you went through making the right decision, making the wrong decision. So it's not like one of those things. It was just what you felt in that time, and what you felt in that time was right with him.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And then going in, no matter what, Walker Buehler has a ninth. How'd you feel about that?
I just felt that no matter what, with a lead, Walker was going to have the ninth.
And how did you feel about running him out there with one? Especially with the way he had been pitching.
With the way he'd been pitching, I felt really good about it. But again, I was willing to take on the cost of a potential Game 7 by running Walker out there. He wanted it. He's been there before. And honestly, I just felt right then that was our best option to win the World Series.
And we did. Speaking of winning the World Series, the process of winning the World Series, playing the regular season, right? And through this regular season, we had like a record of injuries. And, from my perspective, I'm like, man, this is crazy. Like, I don't even know. Sometimes I don't even know who these guys were that you were putting on the mound. I'm like, we don't even have guys to finish games, and we just have to pick up a guy for today, and then you know how it is. And so, is that hard? Is it hard to how hard is it to manage that?
You know what? This was certainly my most trying year. Obviously, when you look back, it's my most gratifying and satisfying year. I think, Mook, it's one of those things where, again, it goes back to your question earlier about what's more satisfying, winning it all as a player versus as a manager. Because I can't control, you can't control the injuries, but I have to be able to control the mindset of the players to keep things moving forward. And so this year, I've said it many times over, this has been my favorite team because it was the trust that you guys had in me. And regardless of who we ran out there in a lineup, who we ran out there to finish a game or throw innings, and I know there's times you were in the outfield going, I have no idea who this guy is that's coming out of the bullpen. But you guys had the trust in me and the organization to say, you know what, it's what we got, and we're going to ride, and we're going to roll with it.
ロサンゼルス・ドジャースの監督として 3度目のWsシリーズ優勝を手にしたデーブ・ロバーツは、その喜びを語り尽くせないほど感激しています。監督として、チーム全体が一つにまとまり、困難を乗り越え、ムーキー・ベッツやフレディ・フリーマンのような素晴らしい選手たちがそれぞれの役割を果たしてくれた姿を見届けることができたことは、本当に誇りに思います、と彼は述べ、その喜びを隠せませんでした。ドジャースが今年のシーズンを通して見せた闘志や団結力は、多くのファンにとっても感動的なものでした。今年の優勝は、これまで以上に困難な道のりでした。シーズン中、選手たちは予期せぬ怪我や難しい状況に見舞われることが多く、その度にロバーツ監督は、チームの戦略を調整し、選手たちが力を発揮できるよう最大限のサポートをしました。特に印象深かったのは、ヤンキースとの第5試合での劇的な逆転勝利です。5-0の劣勢から試合をひっくり返し、勝利を手にしたあの瞬間は、ファンの皆様にとっても忘れられない記憶となったに違いありません。監督のリーダーシップと選手たちの絶え間ない努力が見事に結実した瞬間でした。また、この対談の中では、ロバーツ監督の若かりし頃のエピソードも話題になりました。彼が日産の車でアイスキューブの音楽を聴きながら過ごした青春時代の思い出は、ファンにとっても彼の人間らしい一面を感じさせるものです。現役の選手としてキャリアを積み、そして今や監督としてドジャースを率いる立場にあるワーツ監督ですが、こうした親しみやすいエピソードを通じて、ファンは彼に一層の親近感を抱くことでしょう。このシーズンを振り返ると、ロバーツ監督は、今年は私自身にとっても監督として最も満足のいくシーズンだったと語ります。多くの試練があったからこそ、監督としてもチームのリーダーシップを問われる場面が多々ありましたが、選手たちの信頼を得て、一緒に戦い抜くことで、この偉業を達成することができたのです。ロバーツ監督は、選手たちとスタッフ全員の信頼と協力があってこそ、私たちはこの成功を手にすることができました、と感謝の意を表し、彼らとの絆を再確認しました。ドジャースファンの皆さん、これからもぜひチームを応援し続けてください。今後もさらなる挑戦が待ち受けていますが、ドジャースは皆様の熱いサポートに応え、さらなる高みを目指して突き進んでいきます。スタジアムでの声援やテレビ画面越しの応援、そのすべてが選手たちにとってはかけがえのない力となり、困難な状況でも彼らの心を支えています。ドジャースは皆様の応援とともに成長し、共に輝かしい未来を歩んでいきます。この歴史的な勝利の背景には、球団全体が一丸となって取り組んだ姿勢があり、そして何よりファンの皆様の支えがあったからこそ実現したものです。ドジャースの選手たちは皆様の応援を力に変え、さらに前へと進むことができました。このようなシーズンを共に歩み、最後にワールドシリーズの栄光を手にすることができたことに、選手たちも心から感謝しています。最後に、私たちのチャンネルでは、ドジャースの最新情報や試合のハイライト、ロバーツ監督や選手たちの貴重なインタビューを随時お届けしています。これからもドジャースの軌跡を皆さんと一緒に追い続けていきたいと思いますので、ぜひチャンネル登録、動画のいいね、そしてコメントでの応援をよろしくお願いします。皆様の応援の声がドジャースの選手たちをより強く、そしてさらに前へと導いてくれることでしょう。